Hi, everyone. So we have Troy that's going to hop on in just 1 second. Oh, I'm so happy that all you guys were able to come into the room. Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me clearly?
Mhm. You are
Great.
absolutely.
It's
Mhm.
funny, I my car is getting some maintenance right now, so I made sure I ran over to a KFC and plugged my phone into the wall so I can go and catch your live. Because I had to say, wait a minute, this is Zoom today, but then I checked the back text messages you sent me and found the link. So I'm like, okay, I could do this. I'm gonna make it happen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you joining us, and we're going to get started very shortly. So, what we're going to do is this will be recorded. So, if you don't mind just muting your line, as well. And there is the fabulous Troy. Long time no see, Troy.
How you doing? Hi, everybody.
How's it going? So we do have a few people that's already in the room. And I wanted to say thank you again, Troy, for joining us. You look fabulous, by the way.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much. So let me see here. What I wanted to do is I know we're at a strict hour and everything. A lot of people are running around and stuff. Everybody got work to do. So I'm really happy that you were able to join us as well. The first thing that I would want you to do, Troy, is actually introduce yourself, and we'll go through all of your definite skill sets, but I wanted you to let the audience know who you are and what you actually do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Troi Hawkins. I'm a financial professional. I help people with business and funding and finance, just all the things that include making money and securing it. So I've been blessed to find somebody like Vonti who has introduced me to a lot of amazing people. You guys, thank you, Rachel, definitely Daryl, and excited to expand in business, period.
Which is really
And
great.
network. Yeah.
Exactly. And network, network, network. And as I
Mhm.
said, guys, earlier, when we were on just a few minutes earlier, this is the very first episode of Vonti Talks, right? And what I wanted to do is connect the different business owners. So we will try to have these at least 1 to 2 times a month. You guys are very much welcome to shoot me a note on LinkedIn and everything. I'll also be sharing Troy's information as well. But we wanted to get her to go over the different products that she has, the importance of them as well, as we try and put financial and wealth literacy out there. There's a lot of things that people do not know that is available in the market for them, and Troy is definitely here to fill in that gap. Now, Troy, one thing I wanted you to clarify as you're talking about the different products as well, you're currently located in New York, right? But you
Right
also
now.
have certification throughout the US as
Mhm.
well. So if
Mhm.
there's something that is more general, just make sure you highlight that for them. But if it's something very specific to the New York area that you're certified in, then also do that as well. Okay.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm licensed in 6 states in total, including Texas, South Carolina, Virginia, Georgia, Michigan. And as I'm introduced to more people, I just, you know, get the licensing so that I can be able to help them in
I
different areas.
love that. I
Mhm.
love that. So what we'll do too is send that information over on the states that she is certified in. But let's get started, everybody. So one of the first things that I wanted you to do is you have a very diverse skill set, including like insurance, business consulting, personal development, coaching, and everything. How did you integrate these areas to provide, comprehensive solutions for all of your clients?
I think the main thing was understanding who my audience was going to be. I know that I'm a business owner and I meet a lot of business owners, especially when I'm out networking and going to different conferences and just talking to different people and understanding that everybody has a lot of pain points as a business owner and understanding that they're really similar. Um, as far as like credit restoration and things like that, like wanting to expand financially, but sometimes their credit isn't in the right place. I actually, in 2020, I became a licensed life insurance agent. But when you learn life insurance, you actually learn finance. So you end up learning so many things surrounding finance, and then a lot of things started to come together. As you build a business, you understand the pain points that you had, marketing, how to scale the business. What does a business need? Do I need to delegate? Do I need to add more people? How do I start payroll? Like all of those things became something that I wanted to dig into. And then when meeting people and new business owners, that's why I was like, okay, I can do this, I can help other people. And it really just started. I know a lot of people go to school, MBAs, and get, all of this. I've gotten it through experience, and nothing beats experience, to be honest. So helping people, there's still a lot of parts of business consulting that I can't do, but I have a great network. So what I do is I just delegate that to people that I know. Like for instance, if I have something where it's really in depth as far as like science of business and how to build that, I would delegate that to someone else because I can only stick to the things that I've had experience in. But that's the great thing about being in a great network.
And I
So
think that's something important to point out, because a lot of times people are approaching me about a lot of different things. And if I feel like I'm not the expert in that, I don't really try and wing it,
there's
right?
nothing wrong with saying that's not my lane.
That's my
Nothing wrong
number
with
one
saying,
thing, is like,
mhm,
that is not my lane, right? And that's
mhm,
something, even with the Capstone Pro product that you're doing, right? A gentleman from the C-Suite network had approached me about it. And I was like, I know nothing about benefits,
mhm,
healthcare insurance, any of those things,
right.
right? And that is
Mhm.
why I put over to you and Daryl, who is also an insurance specialist, like, listen, you guys handle that. I just
Yeah.
had to be very transparent
And
about it.
somebody else to do it. Exactly.
Exactly. But
Mhm,
as we move forward, though, I would like for you to share, something like a success story where you tailored insurance plans provided, for like financial security for an individual or even a business, because you
right.
deal with multiple lines of B2B and B2C.
Right, right. I would say my most recent, I usually talk to a lot of beauty professionals because I've been in that industry for 15 years. Oh, probably more than that. Um, everyone wants to do a lot of the people I know have been doing it for just as long, and they deal with a lot of high-end clients. And I'm like, what are you doing with all this money you're making? Like, how are you setting yourself up for retirement?
Yes.
Um, how are you paying yourself? I had a client who was complaining that she is having a hard time. She was having a hard time getting um, proving her income when it came to her. Hi, Kurt. Proving her income when it came to getting a home. And
Mm.
so I had to break it down to her. If she was paying herself through a payroll company, she would be able to prove her money, where it's coming from. So I
And let's
basically
wait, Troy,
tailored
but
that.
let's not rush through that, because I want you to break it down to people in
Mhm.
layman's terms, right? A lot
Right.
of people out there are on like 1099 or
Mhm.
freelance contractors. We do not have those W-2s or the
Right.
W-4s. So
Right.
really break that down on what that means for an
Mhm.
individual and how you were able to resolve that for them.
Right. So basically, I'm connected with ADP. I have some people who basically set up my business with ADP, which if you've ever gotten a check from any payroll company, they're probably using ADP. And so what I did was I called up my guy Jeff, and I was like, "Hey, I have a client who hasn't been paying herself, and she needs to start paying herself through her company, through her business."
Mm-hmm.
So the technical part actually went over to ADP, but what she is now able to do is to pay herself through her business as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just taking her checks that she gets from the TV and film industry, and she's able to now pay all the different types of like FICA and Medicare and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. She's able to take out all of those different taxes, and now she doesn't have to pay a huge amount of taxes at the end because it's already being done for her through ADP, which is the company who's the payroll company. There's different ones. You can use Gusto. There's a lot of different ones that are coming about now, but ADP is like the oldest and the longest. And basically I was able to help her set that up by just, again, delegating her to somebody who could do that. So having knowledge in different areas also helps me to be able to help her. And also she didn't have insurance. So I was able to get her a policy where she would only be paying it. She's 39. It's basically a pay to 65, which means that she's only going to be paying that policy up to 65, up to age 65. And then after 65, now she's going to start being paid her retirement because
I
she
love
said
that.
at age 39. So you have some people who haven't even really thought about that, but the younger you are, and obviously it takes money to make money or to be able to create those kind of safety nets for yourself later on. But she has the money coming in. She's on lots of productions. She makes money as a beauty professional. So now not only is she paying herself properly, she's also securing her money with life insurance and making sure that she has something set up for herself in retirement. But with a whole life, which is whole life for your whole life, it is a permanent policy.
Yes.
She's going to only be paying that premium, which is the payments, the monthly payments. She'll be paying that premium up until 65, and it's not going to change because permanent policy is a guaranteed premium, right? It stays level. And and she'll have that for the life of the policy. So it's not going to go up, it's not going to go down. Her money is going to build over time, and she'll be able to borrow from the cash, or and her family will be secured if anything happens to her, and she'll be able to receive a death benefit if something happens to her as well.
Which I think is important because, again, a lot of people set up businesses, but they don't realize that you should be also paying yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, if I wanted to buy a house today, it would be more of a struggle, and you have to then rush and put yourself on the books and be able to show that. But sometimes setting that up from the beginning is really great as well. Could you do a deeper dive into the life insurance portion, like you mentioned, because some people don't know what term life and, full life
Yeah.
is and everything like that. And it's really important that we also break that down.
Yeah, so you have term, which is temporary, right? And then you have whole life, which is permanent. Term, usually when I'm asking questions, I want to know if you have a family, do you have, children, home, do you have any assets that if something was to happen to you, that your family wouldn't have to uproot and move or leave that property because you passed away, basically. So I ask those kind of questions. A lot of people do have children. If you're married, don't have children, you basically want to have a higher death benefit because this one is going to definitely give you a death benefit, right? You don't have any other benefits other than that, depending on what the company offers, right? Thank you for putting your information there. I see it.
Girl, don't worry about it. Don't interrupt yourself. I got this.
Right?
But just so you guys know, and I don't mean to cut Troi off, I apologize, but I did just drop her contact info. So if you wanted to email Troi, and I'll be mentioning that throughout, Troi Hawkins, TroiHawkins at outlook.com. And her phone number is 201-241-4445. So let's jump back into what you were mentioning about, the life insurance, the term life versus whole life. As well. So I apologize about that. Go for it, Troi.
Okay, yes. So sorry, my son's here. So basically,
Henny, listen, Henny, leave your mom alone. She's on a live feed right now, educating people. Go, Let's get back into it though. Thank you.
So your term is really going to be less expensive for the most death benefit, right? And so that is always, good, but I always tell people if you can get a term, you should also get a whole. which is a permanent life insurance policy that is going to have the cash account attached to it. That cash account is going to accumulate. So every time you pay a premium, it goes to the cash account. A portion of that goes into your cash account. And over time, it starts to build up this money in there that you'll be able to use for a life event. Okay, so this is what this is what Daryl was talking about before. This is what the rich have been doing for years and years to help their families, right? So they buy a bunch of policies. And my mentor basically was like, I buy insurance like I buy shoes. And true. Like you know what I mean? Like honestly, that's a goal of mine to basically make so much money where I can put money in different vehicles that are going to grow money for me, because that is really it's top tier finance. Like you really just want to have money in different places growing and working for you. And for the whole life policy, that permanent policy is actually going to start working for you in the background. And depending on your premium and how much death benefit you have, which is also a part of a whole life policy, you're going to be able, like Waka Flocka, exactly, Daryl. Exactly. Right?
Some people don't know who Waka Flocka is, okay?
Right? Waka Flocka is a rapper, a producer, and he is actually he's a businessman, and he actually is now teaching, talking about his experience with his personal finances. And Candy Burris is another one. These people are out here really educating the masses, and reprogramming the minds of African American cultures and, people of color, because we all have a huge misconception about money. So whole life policies are really just great ways to have money, building in the background while you're, working, or while you're building other vehicles to build you money, right? So whole life and term life. Temporary term is temporary for a term, and whole life is permanent for up to age 100, and it's basically for your whole life. Permanent policy.
And I know for me, when I got my life insurance, I wasn't able to at the time afford whole life. So I did get term life. And they did the medical during that term where I was still a healthy person. So then when I want to go flip it over, I didn't have to do the medical again. So so that's another thing. If you guys are, healthy and there's no issues and everything like that, it doesn't hurt just to get some kind of life insurance out there. Now, one thing that you surprised me with as well, Troi, which I wasn't aware of, and it might be people in the room that aren't, you can also do a burial policy separate.
Right. I think just before we jump to that, I do want to piggyback off what you just said. When you're healthy, definitely make sure that you do secure those the rating, basically, because your rating, everyone has a rating, and your rating, depending on how healthy you are, you'll get a really good rating. Don't smoke. If you smoke, you'll still be eligible for some insurance, but it won't be the best, right? Because, health is wealth, and health is one of the things that keeps you basically wealthy. Like you'll be able to get the best premiums when you're younger and healthier. So don't wait until something happens. A lot of times that happens. So when it comes to insurance, I feel like a lot of people, when I'm talking to them, or just because they don't, marijuana is an issue now too. Yes, Daryl, it is, because what people are doing is using tobacco leaves to smoke marijuana, and that is tobacco. So the rating goes according to the tobacco intake. And if you're wrapping your marijuana in tobacco leaves, then that causes an issue too. So, I'm as a professional, I don't want to say you don't have what you tell your doctor matters, okay? Because they're going to go into those records. It's all in the MIB, which is the Medical Information Bureau. They're going to go into that and look at your history of medications. So think about that when you are telling your doctor all of the things, everything. If you smoke marijuana, that may be a personal thing that you may not want to tell your doctor, unless it's causing you some other ailments. But again, all of that history is being stored. There are some people, some insurance agents who have to go back in and talk to doctors and have them remove things, because even if you're been prescribed medications that you're not using, go to your doctor and tell them, can you please, I am no longer taking this medication. Can you please update that in my files? Because that all is in there. So,
Yes.
what was I saying?
Well, you were talking about, the term versus the whole life, but I did want to mention,
Burial.
yes, the
Burial.
burial thing
Right.
as well. Yes. And I know, guys, that we're talking very much heavy on like life insurance, but burial insurance. Before we were on a little bit earlier, and Daryl had made up a great point because he's also in that space that you need to make the people around you aware where your policies are as well. So if we were Superman and all that stuff, yes, we would live to maybe thousands of years old, right? But at the end of the day, we are in a limited amount of time, and you have to have those hard conversations. It could be a best friend, it could be whoever that you want, a beneficiary that is on your policy, but just make them aware on where your paperwork is. You don't want somebody sifting through that after you're actually gone, or having to go to your home while they're packing up things, trying to find mail just to see what you have available out there. Some
It
people
should be
also,
kept in a place where it can be found. And like he said, it don't gotta be a huge production. You just say,
yeah,
hey, this is what I have going on. And if something happens to me, here's, this is where you can find it.
this is where you could find it.
I love
Exactly.
that.
Just like your legacy stuff for social media. I think Facebook added that feature that unfortunately, if you do pass, you can assign someone to be able to close your account. The worst thing I've always had is, unfortunately, people that I've known that I have an anniversary pop up or a birthday reminder, and it just breaks your heart all over again because
Right.
you know that they're actually gone and their social is still doing the automatic update. So
Still doing it, yeah.
yeah, so
Google has that as well.
yeah.
But as far as I feel like people with insurance, they often designate to their beneficiaries who's going to get what, but they also don't think about the funeral aspect of it. So
Yes.
I would hate for someone to take a huge policy, let's say $100,000 that they are leaving for their loved ones. That means, and let's say it's 2 people, let's say it's 3 people, let's say it's 4 people. Now that is being divvied up so much, and then people have to come up with funeral expenses. Now, funeral expenses can be very expensive
Expensive, yes.
because it depends on where, let's say your family is from Grenada now, and your loved one wants to be buried in Grenada. Now there's money that has to come out to ship the body, to get it back home. There's a lot. People don't think about the clothes, the plane tickets, the expenses around just preparing for a funeral. And I will say
If
this,
you passed
funeral,
away on vacation, unfortunately, it's a lot
you
of
pass
different
away on vacation, you
scenarios.
can get
Yeah.
hurt on vacation. Like, insurance is really so, so, so powerful. It is to mitigate loss. It is to secure risks, and I think that not having insurance in this day and age, when now you're seeing so many things happening with people, I think people also really just didn't see everything, because now that we have social media, everything is out in the open. You can see so many things happening with people, and it's like, wow, like I can't believe that happened to somebody. So just seeing those things, you now want to get more prepared. But I always recommend burial insurance as as kind of like the cherry on top with my clients, because you don't want family fighting at the funeral. I've seen
Yes.
that as well. You don't want people, money changes everything. So
Yes.
when you have something like that set up, now the funeral home can get this $30,000 policy that will just take care of the funeral, right? Because you can take your $100,000 policy to the funeral, and let's think about your family members. They want you to be laid to rest properly. I've seen carriages with horses and carriages carrying up the
Okay.
block. I've seen doves being let go and things like that. That costs. So everything has an expense to it. So if you have a policy that is designated for your funeral, then yes, that's perfect, because now your other policy can go directly to your loved ones who you want to take care of to take care of themselves, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But the burial policy is to take care of you, which I really, and it's basically a final expense. It
Could
also
you tell
helps.
us I'd love for you to tell your personal story and struggle with that as well. You know, we've spoken before about this,
Mhm.
and the reasoning by us doing something about wealth and financial literacy, right? Because there was a time long ago that you didn't have as much literacy, and unfortunately, you know, I would love for you to take a deeper dive into that so
Yeah.
people can understand.
Yeah. So, when I was 18, my father passed away. He had a pneumonia, and then it escalated to kidney failure and a lot of other things. He was one of those hard-headed people who was like, "I'm not sick. I'm gonna check myself out of the hospital. What are you
Well,
talking about?" So he checked himself out. He ended up getting worse and ended up going back and going into ICU because he had gotten really ill. So, when he passed away, he left my brother and I $1 million. So,
mhm,
with that being said, we blew it all. We lost it all, because we are products of our environment sometimes, and we also operate in the lack mentality, and we just did not have financial literacy, right?
mhm,
Um, Now, there are some steps that he could have taken to secure that 500,000 apiece, if he would have put it in a trust and designated his the life insurance policy to the trust. Right, exactly. So that's what I was talking about. He's on point. So Daryl just said it, get a trust, right?
mhm.
So that's also how you save your children from blowing the money that you've been paying into these policies for years. And ain't no telling how long my father was paying for that policy. And so I also had to get some therapy around those things because again, that is financial trauma, right? It is
Yeah.
also it's a form of financial trauma. And I also had to overcome the fact that um I blew all of his money. You know, I
Mhm.
held on to that guilt for a long time. I had to come to terms with it. It just wasn't my fault because I did not know. You don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, Harlem, where I grew up, was on
Mhm.
sale for $1. So all of the brownstones that were you could buy a brownstone for $1, and you could just get it fixed up, and you just had to have the credit and the knowledge, right? So
Wow.
basically, I could have owned the block. We all could have owned the block, right? Me and my brother could have been
Same thing
millionaires,
for Brooklyn. Same thing.
right?
Yes, we could all be multi millionaires. I think brownstones were going for like 5,000 back then in the
Yeah,
90s, you
yeah.
know?
So
But
you
yeah.
had to have the money to renovate these brownstones, but at the time, and I knew that at the time, I just didn't have anybody to reach out to.
Hmm.
I was helping people with money, like everybody that you could think of came out of the woodworks for help with their
Hmm.
bills and can you pay my debt? I'm in debt. I helped so many people. I bought a lot of depreciating assets, but
Yes.
long story short, um, it my duty, and this is like my basically I feel like it is my duty to now educate people because I was misinformed. And
Yes.
I would hate to see that happen to another child, you know. And so basically that is my story. I am a living testimony, a living testament of life insurance and what it could do. I'm not even gonna front, it did pay for my last few years of college.
Yeah.
I was able to buy books, but I also I always tell this story. I got robbed as well. So I had to deal with fraud and things like that. So there was a
Yeah.
lot of things that were attacking me financially. And I had no way of mitigating that because once the policy was gone, once that money was gone, it was just gone, right? And yeah, it
And
was
I
gone.
think, isn't it similar to when you mentioned the trust, right? That's something I believe that Allen Iverson had set up for him, right? With the NBA stuff. Did-
I believe so. I'm not really sure what he had. But a trust is definitely there's nothing higher than a trust. The once
So
it
can
is
you
in the
break
trust,
that down for us? So for the audience that doesn't know, maybe examples of things that can actually go into a trust even
mhm,
right now, you know?
right. So if you have a life insurance policy, LL Cool J has them. You can designate your trust to own everything. So basically, you own nothing. Your trust is going to own everything. So if you have cars, if you have a home,
Houses.
we're dealing with deed fraud right now. So if you have a trust, you don't have to worry about being attacked for your deed, someone taking over your deed, because now deeds are public information. You can go right on down to the city hall and pull up a deed. That's what real estate investors do all the time. They go and get the deeds for properties, and
Mhm.
actually someone that you don't know could have your deed in their hand. So if you have any assets, anything that can be attacked, and people can come for it, if you get sued or anything like that, you now can put things under a trust. Now you want to deal with attorneys on this. I am not an attorney,
Mhm.
obviously, but you want to seek an attorney, someone reputable, someone that handles trusts. And you want to have that set up. Now, I know a lot of people understand I don't know if you understand what a will is, but a will is just a letter saying, I want my cousin and my mom to have this, but that still is eligible for probate, which means that now they have to fight for these things. And probate is a very lengthy process.
Yes.
However, if you have a trust, there is nothing higher than a trust. Everything goes in the trust, and it has to be set up um, with a trustee. You have your beneficiaries of the trust and things like that. So those are you can now, even with the life insurance policy, I mean, that is so amazing to how it creates generational wealth, because now that trust will be able to um to give out proceeds
Mhm.
where you set it. You can set the trust is going to set it. You can build the trust up, build it up with life insurance.
Mhm.
Whole life, the cash will go into the trust and things like that. There's a lot of technical things to it, and I'm really trying to keep it simple.
No, but I think it's good for the audience because again, you don't know. A lot of times people assume because you know the information, everybody knows it, right?
Right,
So that's
right.
why I'm actually doing something like this. It's
Mhm,
like
mhm.
I want people to break it down in layman's terms, like, hey, you know what? Somebody has a speedboat at home or their house at home, or
Mhm.
your favorite
Yeah.
pair of Jordans. Who cares, right?
You
It's like
never
if
want to
you,
own anything. You
yeah,
wanna
there's a lot of
own
times.
ownership. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a
And I
lot
know
of times that,
America,
go
sorry,
ahead, sorry.
America really is huge about owning everything. Like, we want you to own. We want you to have the home in your name and things like that. But to be honest, the rich and the wealthy don't you can't even trace some of their things that they have because they have trust.
Yeah,
So
but think about even like sometimes with the elderly, right? People don't know that when you go into that home, right? The government is only stepping in once you have depleted all of your assets.
mhm,
Every single dollar. Your account has to be $0. So
mhm,
if you were planning to leave some wealth to your kids, if it's not in a trust assigned to one of your kids, they can simply just take that to pay off the debt of you being in that senior citizen home. So when you hear of those people with like dementia and Alzheimer's out of nowhere, and then
mhm.
now they have to be taken care of by the state and stuff, they literally drain the swamp first. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
really unfortunate, especially for older people, because they didn't have the information that we have.
yeah.
And a lot of people didn't have that information, and now that it's out, and people are starting to wisen up and like really get this information, I think it's important for us to share it. And I love what you're doing here, because you're like, I don't want any stone unturned. I want
Yeah,
everybody in the network to know what this is,
yeah.
and I also, that's community service. That is just literally like a form of community service. And that's what, even though I do get paid for helping people, but I
Mhm.
really feel like it is my duty to share the information. So,
And if you
again,
guys want to reach out to Troy, I did put her contact info. We still have plenty of time to go. I have some more questions for her, but I definitely want you guys to take the time to write down her info. Reach out. She's very knowledgeable. She's certified in multiple products as well. Troy, if you wouldn't mind just letting them know maybe some of the certifications that you have, because I know you do like all kinds of stuff. I can't even name it. Every time we talk, you go get certified in something else. So I wouldn't
I
mind if you let people
I'm
know
like,
how
ain't nobody
serious
gonna
you
turn
are.
me to.
Yeah,
Right.
but I want them to know how serious you are about financial and wealth literacy for all communities, but especially for minority communities as
Yeah.
well. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, the basic life and health. insurance. I mean, a lot of insurance agents do get, I mean, you can just take a life insurance certification, and I do recommend that if you're planning to do life insurance, you should do the life and the health and get it done at the same time. So that way you kind of move about the way you need to. But life and health mainly, and I'm also certified. I get the certifications that are necessary to keep my business afloat, like suitability and anti-money laundering and all of those things. Those are just so that I can put people in policies and in benefits the proper way, right? And also that I'm aware of what's going on as I'm dealing with clients, because you have some people who will literally use insurance and use finance to do deceptive things. So, you
Mhm.
know,
So again, Troy, I need you to break it down.
break it down.
List
So,
out the healthcare insurance stuff that you have. Just think about your audience not knowing exactly what you're able to offer them. So
Mhm,
even if it takes the next 3 minutes or stuff, I
mhm.
really want you to really list that out. Or you can maybe, I think that might be on your LinkedIn as well. But if you wouldn't mind just letting them know some scenarios of the services you offer.
Right. So with health insurance, I'm able to offer accident and disability insurance.
Mhm.
So that is one of the ways that I'm able to help clients. When you're sick or hurt and you can't work, you need money, right?
Including maternity leave as well.
It also helps with maternity leave as well. I'm actually with Combined. It's a Chubb company, and Chubb is like one of the oldest casual property and casualty companies in the world. We help 55 countries,
Wow.
um, and so what we're able to do is we're able to work with business owners, and we're also able to work with individuals as far as securing them if they were ever to get into an accident or to be sick enough that they can't even work, right?
So
Because
like payroll protection, right?
payroll protection is pretty much securing your money. If you can't work, you can't, if you're sick and you can't get to work, you can't get paid. So this is going to basically cover you depending on what you choose. You can either choose a 2-year, 3-year, or a 5-year disability policy that's going to pay you for that time that you're off, as long as you have doctor's information and records that show that you cannot work, you'll be paid accordingly to your selection. So like if let's say business owners who make a high salary, if you make 100,000 a year, we
Mhm.
have something called the income protector. That income protector is going to protect your income for up to 5 years. And so
Wow.
you're able to even get a job that didn't have anything to do with your original job. So let's say you are a police officer and you are now disabled and you have the income protector, which covers you for 5 years, and it now pays you up to 5 years. You can now go and get another job that has nothing to do with your original job and still be paid on top of that. So,
Yeah, because you got rid of the physical labor and now you're
right,
like disabled, so
right.
you
Let's say
might
if you
do
wanted
administrative or something like that. Yeah.
exactly, something at a desk, something remote, you can still be paid. There was a guy who was a pet owner, he owned a vet. He was a vet. He hurt his hand, and obviously you can't lift the pets up, you can't do any of those things. He got a disability policy, he's getting paid up to 5 years, and
Wow.
now he's actually doing something simple as tour guides for the Statue of Liberty. So
Wow.
he's still getting paid. He's still getting paid to get paid. He's getting paid on top of getting paid. So that's two forms of income streams that he's getting, but it's also tax free because it's insurance. So
Mm.
he's not paying any tax on that. So that's one thing that I'm able to help people with, and also businesses. We talked about that earlier, where you can go up to businesses and offer them like you have women who have complicated pregnancies.
Mm-hmm.
There's benefits for women like that in at businesses, because I don't know if anyone has ever been a mother who's had to take a long leave or wanting to heal properly. Sometimes we're mentally in a space where we're not ready to come back to work, but we got to go back. Or we have a C-section, and it takes a little bit longer for a C-section to heal. there's a lot of benefits that go with, but I believe we only cover, excuse me, not C-sections, because we only cover natural births. So if there's
Mhm.
any complications with that, then we're able to help people with that. But as far as life insurance goes, then I'm also certified to do annuities, but index annuities, right?
So
And
what are
before
those?
I'm going to say that
Yeah.
index annuities go according to the index, which is like the S&P 500, like according to the stock and things like that. So your money is now going to be accelerated based on what the S&P 500 is doing, or, you know, NASDAQ and all of those other huge indexes
Mhm.
that you see. There, it's going to be go according to that. So you'll be able to reap the benefits of what the stock is doing, what the index is doing. There are a lot of different indexes. S&P is usually the most popular.
Mhm.
Um, we'll mention that one. S&P is on all over everything, but annuities basically are great for retirement. Um, thank you. Bye, Jennifer.
Bye, Jennifer. Thank you for joining us.
Um, Annuities are great for retirement, and it's basically going to pay you when you are in retirement. Basically, you have lifetime income.
Mhm.
It has a life insurance aspect where you can add beneficiaries to it. So if you
Mhm.
pass before your annuity actually pays you out, it can pay your beneficiary the amount that you basically would have designated for yourself to be paid if
Wow.
you pass before your annuity actually goes into force. So it's just a accumulation of cash. It goes through different phases,
Mhm.
and that last phase is when it pays you,
Mhm.
and that's your retirement. Let's see
I
what
love
else.
that. So
You
we
have
talked about life insurance, the healthcare insurance, disability coverage, annuities, trusts, and all of that stuff. I know that you also do something with like credit repair,
right.
so people can get their business ready as well for different like lines of credit and all
Yes.
of that. For somebody like Rachel who's out there, excuse me, with the business loans and the lines of credit and all of that stuff. So could you speak more onto that as well?
Yes, credit restoration is one of my original services that I offered. Credit restoration is huge. It's your adult report card. Uh,
Don't-
it is
That is so
definitely
true.
right. So you can't get anything without good credit. You almost can't get into a relationship if you don't have good credit, and you shouldn't. So I offer that as a service as well, and especially with business owners, there's so much opportunity for funding if you have
Mhm,
a credit score and if you have a great profile. It's not so much about the score; it's so much more about what is in your profile. So now,
mhm,
if you're eligible for high limit credit cards, if you have at least two of those, if you have a mix of credit, like, your school loans would count um as an installment loan. Now, installment is when you now pay down off the
mhm,
original balance that you were given, and it gets lower and lower.
mhm.
Credit cards will count as your revolving, and now think of a revolving door. Every time you pay, it goes right back to the original balance, right? So you're now paying, so installments, you're paying it down to zero, and with revolving, it's going to go back to the original credit that you were offered. So
Mhm,
when you're a business owner and you have great credit and you have a great mix, which means different types of credit that and a great history. Now, your history, obviously, your payments are very important. We all know that, I don't know if we all know, but you can lose up to 100 points if you don't pay on time. So having a great credit score is important. Having a great profile is even more important. Actually, just forget about the score. Let's just forget about the score altogether and start focusing. I help people focus on the profile. What is in there? What is all the things that help your score be what it is, right? Because even if you buy a pack of gum with your credit card, you're gonna lose some points because you're using your credit, right? So when you're a business owner, you actually have more perks because it's not personal. Now, on the consumer side, you'll be penalized just for using your credit, but as a business owner, you're actually being rewarded for using your credit. So every time you use your credit, now they're saying, oh, wow, she, she actually needs this money. Let's give her some more because she actually needs this money for her business. Every time you spend, it's looking great, and every time you pay it back, it also looks amazing on you too. So you have a lot of different, just like you have Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, you have those over on the business side where it's like Paydex Score, Equifax Business, and
What's the other
Experian,
one? Duns and something, right?
Dun & Bradstreet. That will be your payment.
I almost
Dun.
choked to death, people.
Yeah, like I'm like I was about to be
All
like,
this
are you
information.
go
Sorry.
right over there, girl? Am I giving you too much? Okay. All right, but the
I
skin
love
is
it, Troi, because
the
you seem very knowledgeable
yeah,
in a lot of services that people are
right,
not aware of. So that's
mhm,
one thing that I would encourage the audience is to definitely reach out to you.
right. I don't want to get too deep into all of it because if you need to talk to me, obviously I'm here. You can.
But I
I'll go
want to
on.
repeat your contact information that's out there if people do have questions. Troi is
Okay.
actually on LinkedIn, so
Mhm.
you're under Troika Hawkins,
Troika.
T-R-O.
TROI.
Troika Hawkins,
Mhm.
on LinkedIn as well. And we also have her phone number if you want to reach out. That is 201-241-4444. Go ahead.
Actually, I'm just gonna give you my personal number so you can call
Oh,
me.
you want all these strangers on LinkedIn
That's
contacting you,
fine.
girl?
That's fine. That's fine.
Go ahead.
Or block button. But I'll give you my phone number. It's 347. You can put it in the chat if you can.
Yes,
Three four
go for it.
seven 366 1028.
Let me put Troy's direct phone number. Listen, what are your
Me-
office hours? Because people definitely need to know that. I'm just joking.
Oh, definitely 8 p.m. Okay, so and I do have my link as well. It's the Calendly link if anyone wants to reach out
Yeah,
via
definitely drop that in when you get a chance as well. If anybody wants to email her, it is also Troi, Troi Hawkins at outlook.com. So that's one thing I want to encourage people to do more and more is actually share your contact info. Make sure you're repeating that info and just be open and engaged with the people that are out there and with your network. It might be the smallest question that you are assuming could be considered, that you're non-intelligent or something like that. Do not worry about that. There's professionals like Troi, Daryl, everybody in this room have different points of professionalism and expertise and things as well. Thank you, Troi, for dropping that in to the chat as well. She's listed out her Calendly for you guys to also speak with her, but I would definitely encourage that. Now we have a few minutes left, about 15 more minutes. For the last 5, I would love to open it up to the floor for them to ask you anything, but I do want to also get you to speak more on your business consulting opportunity as well, which is something that when they reach out to get on your calendar, we can discuss.
Right. I really, as far as like business consulting, I would like to I usually start with asking like where they are, where they want to be, and just getting a rundown. I have like a list of questions that I ask. What do you, just to find out what the business needs, right?
Mhm.
Where you are, and usually I'm dealing with one person. It's not usually like a huge amount of like an enterprise of people. It's just one person. Usually we start there, we start to break it down long term, short term, and where are you financially,
Mhm.
where do you want to be, and are you on social media, how are you using social media to build your business and scale your business, do you have any products to offer, or are you just service based, how you can diversify and add money in different areas to bring more money in. And then are you secured? Like, do you have your life insurance set up? Are you, if there are more than one employee, are you the key person? Do we need to insure you just in case something happens to the business, to you, the business doesn't tank?
True
Do
that.
A lot of people depend on the business owner for their livelihood. For, if they're employed by you and you die, the business dies as well, and we don't want that. So, having that set up for key person or key man insurance, and
Mm,
that, or if people are in business together, you have these buy-sell agreements where if the person dies, then now the partner can now buy out that owner, and they can now continue the business, and it'll pay for payroll and things like that. It'll keep the business afloat if someone
mm,
passes away. So those are important things that I talk to them about. Also making sure where they are in credit, where they are securely with finance, with their excuse me, with life insurance and all of those things. So it's a lot of moving parts.
yes,
Again, once it gets to like marketing, I'm actually learning marketing right now. So when it gets to that, if there's something that I don't know, I always cascade it to my team or to my network and see how we can get the help for that business owner. But most recently, we were able to really like help some women get their businesses off the ground as far as getting their LLCs, because a lot of people are operating, but they're not set up properly. So that is one other thing.
absolutely.
So I
Mhm,
want to, I look at all of the things like, do you have a business phone number? Are you, current with your taxes? I have a tax person that you can speak to, things like that. Just making sure that all the things are matching and,
mhm.
can operate and be successful as a business owner.
And sorry, I'm choking again. Sorry, everybody. No, but I think that's really important though, because you are able to look at it at all levels of business for those that are just getting started, but also the seasoned ones that also have a lot of capital already for their business, that
Right.
don't know about trust funds and annuities,
Mhm.
don't even hasn't really approached their business credit, or they
Right.
might be suffering from the thing with COVID and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And now they're still trying to bounce back. They didn't get, those loans. They didn't get that kickback or whatever that the government was offering to
Mhm.
cover their services. They're slowly but surely now making it back into the green again, right?
Right. A lot of businesses need that second win. Mhm.
So I like your approach about holistic, being very holistic, because you offer that whole binder of services across the board. Can you tell us more about that? And, why is that crucial for businesses and individuals today?
I look at everyone's finances as more like a fingerprint. So why would I give you something that's very cookie cutter? When you're
Mhm,
the type, you could be a person who may have great credit, but doesn't know what to do with it, how to leverage it. So now
mhm,
that's where I'm like, okay, you could be doing this with your money as with your credit, because a lot of these high credit scores are very vanity purpose, right? I just want to maintain my credit. I just want to make sure that it stays at an 850, and it's like, why? Like, use it. Use the credit, please. Like, please don't on that, because credit is meant to be leveraged. So
Mhm,
if you have that and you're a business owner and you're not using your credit, so that means that you're using your personal money, which means that you're constantly, dealing with profit issues. You know what I mean? So
mhm,
that, you should be leveraging that. And the reason why I get into your business, I get into everything. Like, I literally want to know, what are your money blockages? Where are you, financially? Where do you want to be? How was your childhood like? Because that is what causes money blockages. And holistically, sometimes we need to go deeper to find
mhm.
out what is going on, why, how you can make more money once you remove a money blockage.
Which is going back to that financial trauma. Imagine if you weren't able to bounce back from the huge inheritance that you got from your father or whatever, to like now try and build that back up again.
Building it back up.
Yeah.
Right.
And I
Exactly.
think that that is a very big thing, because a lot of us, how we seen money being spent in a household or
Mhm.
as we were growing up impacts everything.
It
When I was
reflects in your adult life.
Yeah, when
Mhm.
I was in college back then in the 90s, they were letting us have credit cards. Who gives a 17, 18-year-old a credit card without their parents thing? And we just
Mhm.
maxed it all
Right.
out because I
Right.
came from extreme poverty, right? had no idea what thousands of dollars, what do I do with this now? I was excited because a lot of the times when I was growing up, it was, oh, if money came in, oh, now we can get the ice cream. Now we can get that steak that we wanted. And you just wait for those big peaks, right? It's that roller coaster of a peak in your
Mhm.
finances and
Highs
stuff.
and
And
lows.
yeah, that first
Mhm.
of the month mentality, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
The first of the month, you go and get everything. Oh, we
Mhm.
couldn't afford a soda. Now it's like, oh, let's go get 2 gallons of soda. And then you put yourself right back into that debt and you wait for that peak again. So sometimes that does impact business.
It
Now,
definitely does.
yeah, I love all the information that you're giving everyone. I just wanted to give the floor an opportunity to ask any questions very quickly before we wrap things up. And I really appreciate everybody coming to this first Vonti Talks.
Hey, congratulations, Vonti.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Does anyone have any questions that's out there with us? All of that information and
That
nobody
means
has
I
any
gave enough information. That's great.
I
Excellent.
absolutely love that. Now, what advice would you give someone looking to enhance their work-life balance,
Oh,
as they're going through these personal development strategies?
oh, definitely give yourself, pay yourself first. Like always, and
Mhm,
in more ways than one, right? Because
mhm,
personally, your personal finances, you every time you get paid, you want to pay yourself first, but you also want to wake up in the morning and give to yourself, pour into your own cup.
I love that.
And you know, don't do anything outward until you have dealt with the inward first. So that is some huge that is life changing because
Mhm,
a lot of times as business owners we're being pulled left and right. Creating a
mhm.
work-life balance is very important. I try not to talk to people until like 10 o'clock. And
Yes.
you know, I
Yeah,
try
some
not to
people
talk
are
to people
never
before that.
off, and
Yeah,
that's a
you have to
horrible
turn.
way. Yeah.
Right. Right. And so if you're always giving, 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 when do you get a chance to pour into yourself? So I think that that is like the best advice. If you have any money blockages, try to find out where those money blockages are coming from because that is essentially what is going to stop you from growing in business. And as I'm speaking to everybody, I'm speaking to myself. I mean, finances is a journey. Okay. You're never gonna feel like you're there. And when you are there, you're still working on other things. So it's like,
Mhm,
and finances requires so much of you. Just when you think that you have everything together, then there's a life event but you want to be ready, right? So
mhm.
continue to build. It is a journey, it is a marathon, not a race, and
Absolutely.
pay yourself first.
Pay yourself first. And a lot of people do not understand that. Every
Mhm.
time you would go and get those checks when we were in corporate, a lot of us are business owners, but when we were in corporate, we get our check every 2 weeks. It goes to all the bills, right? Then it goes to something else. Then it goes to let's go and hang out and everything without saying, even if it was $50, right?
Yeah.
I've I've been working since I was 16 years old. I can't imagine if I even saved $20 a week up until right now, I would at least have some kind of cushion. But what I
Right.
will say to people out there, it's never too late. I don't
Never.
care if you're 60 right now and you're watching this. Do not ever feel like you cannot save, that you can't hit the reset button on what you think of with your finances. And I'm really happy that somebody like Troi Hawkins was able to join us today. So, Troy,
Oh,
I
thank you.
love it. And again, anybody that is listening out there, if you would like to be involved and be spotlighted on the next Vonti Talks, I'm definitely taking DMs and everything. I definitely won't be giving my cell phone number out because I don't have no time for no block
My
for the
block
block
hand is
game.
strong, honey. Woo.
No, ma'am. But I will say you can reach out to Vonti.mccrae@VontiPictures.com. I work in TV and film, and I also teach people how to utilize AI applications out there, which is something that I put in to the business stratosphere. Kurt Dirty is on here. He's another one of those people with the AI space. So if you ever need any help with the tech side of things, definitely reach out. So I really appreciate you guys coming. And I'm going to let Troi say her final words to everyone to hopefully continue to inspire you. Thank you so
Thank you
much, Troi
so
Hawkins.
much, Vonti. Thank you. I appreciate it. You sharing your platform with me and sharing your network with me. I want to thank everybody for coming on. Thank you for listening. And if you have any information for me, definitely share with me. I love information. So share anything you know. And again, so excited to be here. Thank you again, for having me.
Thank you guys. And I did put her contact info. Let's share it one more time with the Calendly as well. Troi, if you don't mind dropping that into the chat box before we hop off of here. And
Okay.
thank you so much, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you. I'm
One
gonna
more
share
time.
it right now.
This has been really great, you guys. I appreciate you coming on. All right. Well, everybody have an excellent day. And we will see you next time at Vonti Talks. Woohoo! Very first
Congratulations.
episode.
All right.
All
Everybody have
right.
a good day.
Good job,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.